And now we have TalkBack highlights with Warren.
Hi, this is Warren Carr for Blind Android Users Podcast. As we continue in our theme of highlights from TalkBack, we now come to the third installment. In our last installment, which was our second installment, we talked about the TalkBack settings, and in that installment, we looked at a couple areas. We talked about what is new or new features in TalkBack, and also talked about verbosity. Continuing now from where we left, I will now invoke my TalkBack menu. And today I have both the Pixel 2 XL running the Zoe voice from Vocalizer, and on my Pixel 4a I have the regular Eloquence. I'm starting today with the Pixel 2 XL, and now I will invoke the TalkBack menu by swiping down with one finger and curving to the right to bring up the TalkBack menu.
TalkBack menu. Actions in list.
I will now focus my attention on where it says Settings.
Voice command. TalkBack's text to TalkBack settings.
TalkBack Settings.
TalkBack settings.
And we will look below Verbosity.
Verbosity.
And below that we have
Speak passwords. Passwords always spoken. Switch.
You want to make sure that this one is turned on. By default, it should, but if for some reason it isn't, you want to make sure that it is, because if you don't, it would make it impossible to hear the keys or what the letters are as you move your fingers across the keyboard when you're wanting to type in your password, and that would require a headset in order for you to hear it. So be sure that this one is turned on. Below that we have
Sound and vibration.
Sound and vibration. Let's go in here.
Sound and vibration. Navigate up button. Out of list.
We are sitting on the navigate to top. Let's now go and see what we have below that. We have the following.
Sound feedback. Off. Switch. In list.
We're told that sound feedback is off, and this has to do with those navigational sounds as you use your TalkBack. I happen to be one of those that don't like sounds like that, so I have mine turned off, but by default, those things are on. Let's move on.
Sound feedback volume. 50% of speech volume. Disabled.
Of course, mine is disabled because I haven't turned on the sound, so you could change the loudness of those sounds if you have the sounds enabled. Below that we have
Audio ducking. Decrease other audio volume while speaking. Off. Switch.
I have mine again off, and this has to do with times when you're playing a media and then you want to use your phone. At that point, TalkBack will decrease the media volume, giving priority to your TTS, thus making it possible for you to hear what your screen reader is saying. I have mine turned off. Let's go to the last one.
Vibration feedback. Off. Switch.
Vibration feedback. And of course, again, I have mine turned off. I will now go back to the previous screen and see what is next below the sound and vibration.
TalkBack settings. Sound and vibration.
Below that we have the following.
Customized gestures.
We have the customized gestures, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, and we will stop there once we go to the other one. But before we go to the customized gestures, let's now jump over to the Pixel 4a and see if we have similar items in the sound and vibration. I will now unlock the Pixel 4a.
Device unlocked. Pixel launcher. Folder. Money. 4 more items.
Now on this one, I could tap with 3 fingers anywhere to activate the TalkBack menu, or I could still swipe down and curve to the right and bring up the menu. This time though, I'm going to tap once with 3 fingers on the face of the phone to open up the TalkBack menu.
TalkBack menu. Actions and list.
I will now find the TalkBack settings.
Text-to-speech setting. TalkBack settings. TalkBack settings. Navigate up. Image. Out of list.
I am in the TalkBack settings, and I would be looking for sound and vibration, which is just below the verbosity area. Below my verbosity, we'll have the following.
Speak passwords. Passwords always spoken. On. Switch.
The same thing as we saw earlier on. Next.
Sound and vibration.
Sound and vibration. Let's go in here.
Sound and vibration. Navigate up.
And here's what we got. Let's see if the arrangement is the same.
Sound and vibration. Vibration feedback. Off. Switch. Enlist.
We can see that there's a little bit of a rearrangement here. Let's keep going on.
Audio ducking. Decrease other audio volume while speaking. Off. Switch. Sound feedback. Off. Switch. Sound
Next.
feedback. Sound feedback volume. 50% of speech volume. Disabled.
As you can see, there's a total rearrangement here on Android 12 Beta 4 running TalkBack 12.0 when compared to my Pixel 2 XL running Android 11 with TalkBack 9.1. They are totally rearranged here in the TalkBack 12.0. Let's go back.
TalkBack settings. Sound and vibration. Enlist. Showing items wanted.
Below sound and vibration,
Controls. Heading.
we have a heading that says Controls. And below that Controls, we have the following.
Customize focus indicator.
Customized focus indicator, that's what we do not have on TalkBack 9.1. And in our last episode of the Blind Android Users podcast, I had indicated that this is a new thing in 12.0, that is in TalkBack 12.0, wherein, for example, if you're on your home screen and you put your finger on an icon, typically what happens in the past is that there will be a square around it, a line around it in a square that is green, and that was the color that was highlighting the thing that you just touched. But now with this focus indicator, you can choose different colors, and not only choose a different color, but you could also choose as to how thick that line should be, and that's what that focus indicator is. Below that is that customized gestures that we were going to be seeing, and I will now go down and touch on that customized gestures.
Customize gestures. Customize gestures. Navigate up. Image. Out of list.
When we tapped on customized gestures, here are the things that we find, and starting from the top, we have the following.
Customize gestures. Practice gestures. Enlist.
Practice gestures. This is very important because here you can practice all the gestures before you go into the wild. I will tab here and see what we have.
Practice gestures. Try any TalkBack gesture on this screen to hear what that gesture does. Tap the screen with 2 fingers. Keep practicing by tapping once, twice, or 3 times with 2, 3, or 4 fingers. You can also double tap and hold with 2, 3, or 4 fingers. Out of list.
I do want to mention here in passing that there's something wrong here because ideally what is supposed to happen here is that when you tap with 2 fingers, it will tell you what that equates to, or 2 finger single tap equals to this and that action, or 4 finger tap equals to this and that. However, when we do that, it doesn't tell us that because there's something wrong with the Android 12 Beta 4 running TalkBack 12.0. You will see what I'm talking about when we go to Pixel 2 XL and we go to this same area. So I will tap with 2 fingers. I tap once and that should have said pause TalkBack. In other words, if I'm reading something and I tap with 2 fingers, it should pause the reading. But as you could hear, it said nothing. How about 2 finger double tap?
€. That should equate to approximately $350 minus $375 in American dollars.
As I double tap with 2 fingers, you heard some reading that came up because the double tap with 2 fingers starts a playback of whatever that was playing. And I was listening to something using the Google Assistant, and when I double tap with 2 fingers, it resumed that playback. I had to double tap again to stop the playback. How about triple tap? 1, 2, 3. That is supposed to have said start reading from next item or whatever, and you can customize these things. But as you can see, it's not working right. So how about I tap with 3 fingers? That should tell me that should invoke the TalkBack menu. But let's see when I tap.
TalkBack menu. Navigation and list. Cancel button.
It
Try
shouldn't
any
have
TalkBack
brought it up, but instead it should have told me that would start the TalkBack menu. So like I said, there's something absolutely wrong with TalkBack 12.0. I'm not even going to continue with this. I'm going to go back.
Customize gestures. Practice gestures and list.
Now below practice gestures, here are the things that we find. We find
Reset gesture settings.
reset gestures. If you tap here, if you have customized gestures, it will take you back to the defaults of TalkBack gestures. Let's keep going.
1 finger heading.
Under the 1 finger heading, we have the following.
Swipe up. Move navigation focus backward or adjust reading control up. Swipe up.
That's remember using 1 finger. The next item is
Swipe down. Move navigation focus forward or adjust reading control down. Swipe down.
next.
Swipe left. Previous item. Swipe left.
So in other words, if I swipe from right to left with 1 finger, it will take me to the previous item. So for example, if I swipe from right to left, listen to what it says.
Swipe down. Move navigation focus forward or adjust reading control down. Showing items 1 to 10 of 49.
So you see, it took me back to the previous item that I read before reading the one I just performed the action on. Now I will move my finger down, or you could swipe right. That moves you to the next item.
Swipe right. Next item.
So in other words, swiping from left to right with 1 finger moves you to the next item. So you could either be in a list or in a grid. Doing those actions will take you to the next item or to the previous item. Let's go to the next.
1 finger back and forth. Heading. 1 finger back and forth.
This is what I call the scrubbing movement. In other words, you do one fluid movement but with 1 finger. So you could swipe up and down in one movement like you're scrubbing something, or swipe left and right or right and left. Let's see what we have.
Swipe up then down. Previous reading control. Swipe up then down.
So you want to change granularities, you just do that scrubbing movement.
Swipe down then up. Next reading control. Showing items 1 to 10 of 49.
So for instance, I want to show you an example. I'm going to scrub up then down.
Characters.
Now if I swipe down then up, it's going to say
Words.
I have just gone back to the one before that. Now if I swipe up and down, it should say characters.
Characters.
And if I swipe down then up, it should say words.
Words.
So the reason why we have
Swipe right. Next item. 1 swipe up then down. Previous reading control.
and
Swipe down then up. Next reading control.
now you understand it. Let's keep going.
Swipe left then right. Show custom actions. Showing items 11 to 20 of 49.
Swipe left then right, show actions, and actually this is a customized gesture of mine. In other words, what this does is that if I'm sitting on an item and I swipe left and right in one fluid movement, it brings up the actions that I could perform. For instance, if I'm sitting on an email icon and I do that, I'm going to have either compose a new email, or I should have things like uninstall or move or remove if I'm on the home screen. You can always change these things to the one that best suits you, and that's why this is all about customization. Let's swipe now or move our finger down to the next item, and that will be...
Swipe right then left. Scroll forward.
That's by default. I haven't changed that. Next.
1 finger angle. Heading. 1 finger angle.
And we come to the one finger angle, and these are the angular gestures that you hear about a lot of times. And basically what this is that you draw a line either down, then curving to the right, or draw a line upwards and curving to the left or right, and things like that to perform actions. Most of the time, these are actions that actually could be done based on the OS instead of the screen reader based gestures, and all of these, remember, are based on the screen reader gestures and not native gestures of Android. And in my case, most of the time I prefer using the Android native gestures as to these screen reader based gestures. I want to be able to get familiar with the Android navigational system itself as to using those from the screen reader. So I could use these other gestures that are screen reader based to do other actions if I so desire. So for instance, here's what we got.
Swipe up then left. Home. Swipe up then left.
Swipe up then left to go home. Why would I do that when in reality I could take advantage of the Android native gesture, which is swiping with 2 fingers from the bottom and letting go at about an inch or thereabout, and it'll take me home. That is actually faster than doing a screen reader based gesture. But we have it. If that doesn't float your boat, then you choose the one you want. But for me, I prefer using the native gestures as to a screen reader based gesture. Let's go to the next.
Swipe up then right. Open TalkBack menu. Swipe up then right.
Open TalkBack menu. I don't know how I got this one changed, but you see, by default, it's swiping down then right. Or if you're on a system that supports multi-finger gestures, just tap anywhere on the face of the phone with 3 fingers, and that will open up the TalkBack menu. Next, we have
Swipe down then left. Back. Swipe down then left.
We have the back, and of course, again, I prefer using the Android native gestures, and that means I swipe from either the left edge or the right edge with 2 fingers to go back. Remember, for a sighted person, it's a 1 finger, and where a sighted person uses 1 finger, for us as blind people, it calls for 2. Next.
Swipe down then right. Open TalkBack menu. Swipe down then right.
And that is the one that is the default for bringing up TalkBack menu. Or you could simply tap with 3 fingers anywhere to bring up your TalkBack menu. Next.
Swipe left then up. Overview. Showing items 11 to 20 of 49.
Overview. And that's the recent apps. And so for me, again, I prefer using the Android native OS gestures. And that's swiping with 2 fingers from the bottom and then holding shortly thereafter like an inch and holding, and that would pop up the recent apps or the overview. For a sighted person, all it requires is just 1 finger. Next.
Swipe left then down. Screen search.
Screen search. This is where you can search things on the web. For instance, if you're on a website and you're looking for a particular word or so, you could just type that in and find that word or something that you're looking for. Next.
Swipe right then up. Start voice command. Showing items 11 to 20 of 49.
Voice commands. And this is something I was hoping that we would have had something like, hey, TalkBack, or something like that to invoke the voice commands and tell TalkBack to open something like open system settings or launch the assistant. But since we have to use a gesture, to me, it sort of defeats the whole purpose, but you can customize it to something that is easier for you if you have difficulty with using this particular gesture. You tap there and go change it to something else that is easier for you. My rule is that if it is taking you more than 2 times to activate something, you should change it to something else that works for you. Let's go next.
Swipe right then down. Notifications. Showing items 21 to 30 of 49.
Notification, and this is why, again, for me, I prefer using the native Android gesture, and that's swiping down with 2 fingers from the top of the screen, and that pulls down your notification center. Let's go on.
2 fingers. Heading.
We will stop here at the 2 finger gestures, and now I will go back to Pixel 2 XL and look at the practice gestures under the customize gestures and continue from there and call it done for installment 3. I am now back on my Pixel 2 XL, and I'm going to go down and tap on customize gestures. So just below the
Controls heading.
we have,
Customize gestures.
and I'm going to tap here.
Customize gestures. Navigate up button out of list.
Tapping on customize gestures, here are the things that we find.
Practice gestures in list. Practice gestures. Try any TalkBack gesture on this screen to hear what that gesture is. Try any gesture where 2 swipes form a right angle. For example, swipe down and then right, without lifting your finger in between, out of list.
As you can hear, we don't have anything about tapping because this does not support the multi-finger gestures. However, if I do those angular gestures, it should tell me what those gestures do. So for now, I'll swipe down and curve to the right and see what it will tell me that gesture equates to.
Swipe down then right, open TalkBack menu.
How about
Swipe right then left, turn TalkBack sound on or off.
And I had assigned this to mine, and the turn TalkBack sound on or off has to do with muting of TalkBack, and we'll be talking about that in our 4th installment. Now I'm going to swipe down, then curving to the left.
Swipe up then left, home.
And that's the home. And now I'm going to do the scrubbing movements. I'm going to swipe left and right in one fluid movement, in one scrub movement.
Swipe left and right, show custom actions.
And now right then left.
Swipe right then left, turn TalkBack sound on or off.
I assigned that to that again. That was terrible. Okay, I'm going to swipe up and down. That is the scrubbing movement. And now up, then down.
Swipe up then down, previous reading control.
And now
Swipe down then up, next reading control.
and those are the practice gestures. So as you see, the one in Pixel 4a running Android 12.0 does not tell us those gestures like what we hear on the Pixel 2 XL running Android 9.1 in the practicing of the gestures. I bet you if I grab my other phone that is not running the Android 12 Beta 4 and TalkBack 12.0, it will tell us about what those gestures do. Now next below that we have
Reset gesture settings.
reset gestures,
One finger, heading.
and now we have the one finger movements.
Swipe up, move navigation focus backward or adjust reading control up.
Next,
Swipe down, move navigation focus forward or adjust reading control down. Swipe left, previous item. Swipe right, next item. One finger back and forth, heading.
here are the angular gestures. The whole idea is to see if there's anything different between the 12.0 and the 9.1. And since I've already explained this earlier on when we were talking about them on the Pixel 4a, I'm not going to explain those here because it's the same idea.
Swipe up then down, previous reading control. One finger back and forth, heading.
These are the scrubbing movement.
Swipe up then down, previous reading control. Swipe down then up, next reading control. Swipe left and right, show custom actions. Swipe up then down, previous reading control. Swipe down then up, next reading control. Swipe left and right, show custom actions. Swipe right then left, turn TalkBack sound on or off. Swipe left and down, screen search. Swipe right then up, turn TalkBack sound on or off. Swipe right then down, notifications. Fingerprint gestures, heading.
And we come to the fingerprint gestures. And we will stop here. But as you can see, we have the same similar gestures. And again, the word here is customization. Be sure to customize these things to your own liking. Until our next installment, which would be installment 4, I hope to see you again.
Excellent. Thanks, Warren.